had, this is a pair of Bass brand winter boots. I like the way the shape. I believe they're probably women's boots, but I like them. I like the way they look, but I don't care for the thick sole. I want a winter boot that I can just pull on easily, so I'm going to put this is new, relatively new, Vibram Artic Grip. They're supposed to be really good. This part here is supposed to be really good on dry ice, and then this is really good on wet ice, this other compound, and so it should also be real good when you come in from a parking lot and you got wet on your shoes and you walk in on the tile on the store floor. So this boot is, it looks like this is sewn down to like a stitch down, but it is not. That's all for looks. It's just glued together. I stuck a screwdriver in the back here and got this to come loose, and so it's just a matter of getting a hold of it, pulling on it, and you can pull it apart. Like just as easy as that. Once you get it started. It takes a little bit to get it started. Let's see, this is just pulled around and glued to this midsole or insole. So that was easy. I'm going to see about this one, if I can get it without a screwdriver. Yep, see. Just pull. And when you get down to the end, be a little bit careful, because now you're pulling it there. If you come around like that, then you're not pulling it away from that midsole, and it kind of lifted up a little bit right there. So that is as easy as you can get to take a sole off. These soles are real common on a lot of some of the Uggs that have this type of a sole. You look at them and you think, well, you just can take them loose right here, and then you'll leave this, and you look and it's got this stitching. That stitching is just for decoration. It's not real. Well, it's probably real thread, but and it makes, like, these boots are lasted. These are put on a last when they're made at the factory, and a machine pulls this upper down over and glues this down, and then this sets, as we just pulled this off, sets down in there. Is that probably on the right? There we go. Sits down in there. And that sets up to keep water from getting underneath of here. So if I just take this piece here, my new sole, stick it on there and glue it down, it's not going to be as water resistant as it was with this lip. It sits down in there like a dish. So I'm going to take a piece of leather and roll it and glue it around on the outside to basically give us a little bit more to keep water from getting under there. Plus it makes it look nice instead of this being under the sole, which is more how it would be. It'll sit out just a little bit. Well, I do have some brown leather, and I thought about using it, but it didn't really look, the shade didn't look good. So since I'm using a black sole, I have some black leather. So I cut a piece of it off of the long part of my black leather I've got, and I cut it, well, wide enough that I can glue about in to come in here so it can get a real good solid glue on it. It's still enough to fold over like that. So I measured right. That will set about like so, all the way around. I have a jar. I pulled some glue out of here, out of this big jug, and I have just a little brush, just a little horsehair brush. They're really cheap. They come in packs of, I don't know, 20 or so for about $3. So I just pour it in a jar and take the brush, and I'm going to sit here and put glue on this about, I don't know, like that. And if I get a little bit over where I'm actually needing it to be, it doesn't hurt anything, because pretty soon we're going to be gluing this down to the bottom of that boot, so it really won't hurt. Actually, I may just go ahead and glue the whole thing right now. That way once I get it rolled over, it doesn't matter. Because what we're going to do is we're going to let this get tacky. Start to dry pretty good before we fold it. Always just read the directions on the can and follow the directions on how to set up, how long to let the stuff cure or dry, and how to do it. But you always, rubber cement, you always put it on both surfaces. Now that this glue is getting pretty tacky, you can see it's got a little shine to it, but you touch it and it doesn't want to stick to your fingers much. I'm going to go ahead and just start rolling this like I did here, and I don't know, I'm going to go, let's see, I think I made this whole thing is, looks like about 45 millimeters wide, and I'm going to roll it to about, well, I got a little about 25, and I think if I measured on here, that'll probably be about right. So just going to ballpark it into where it's about, there's about 25 on this side here. I'm just going to do that just by what it looks consistent as I just sit here and you can see that. Just fold it over, squeeze it as we go, and then that'll get that cement to hold. Maybe if I do it this way. I'm not real sure the easiest way to do it. This seems to be working. If you didn't have cement, well, I guess if you didn't have cement, you probably wouldn't be putting soles on. But I was going to say, you could just fold this over and then maybe sew it down to hold. But if you've got cement will be a lot easier. I did make a pair once, actually several pairs, that I did fold them and then sew them. But this is so much nicer, and cement holds so well. It's just so much easier to do it this way. This is the upper that's wrapped around this midsole, and it's pulled up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I will glue this back. I'll cement this back down wherever it's pulled up, and but I want this to be level across the bottom. So I have this leather here. It's pretty close to the same thickness. So what I'm going to do is lay this down and cut it. Because I want you can just press down with your fingers and you can kind of feel where the edge is of that upper. And just kind of mark it. Just like so. And you're just going to fill that in. Doesn't matter really what you use. I'm just using a mistake from another project. Some scrap leather. It's close to the same thickness. And then I'll glue this in. I'll cement this down. I use 36 grit sanding wheel. You can get these at the hardware store. They go on a drill. And then I'm just going to rough this center up, and I'm going to rough up both sides of this. Because it's easier to sand this now than later when it's on here. I'll just hit on both sides, just like that. It doesn't take much, just make it rough. Gives the glue some place to hold. This probably doesn't really need any roughing up, because it's pretty rough anyway. Got a lot of flesh stuff there. Where's my other piece? Oh. Here's my piece for the other one. And this already has cement on it from another project that I pulled off. So I'll just rough this up and rough this up. It'll stick just fine. And then, since we're going to be gluing also onto this, I'm going to go ahead and rough this up. And actually smooth some of the imperfections out. Okay, everything is relatively tacky on this. Here and here. I'll push this down where it was lifting up. Kind of wants to stay. So, and when stuff is, sometimes this stuff, well, usually when you got some cement on it, it's going to stick pretty good and pretty quick. So when you set it down, it should stay exactly where you put it. So that means that you need to make sure that you put it where you want it. So that's what I did. Okay, I have this cut and some chunks cut out of it so it'll bend. One where it'll bend the opposite way, and it's longer than just going to put some glue around. Okay, now I think it's a little bit tacky, or it's tacky, but it's still a little bit sticky, and I want to be able to set it down and pick it up if I make a mistake without too much trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and call it what I want it, and just kind of work this along the edge. So, I don't know if you can see that. Oops. Yeah, like that. You can just kind of feel it with your finger and your thumb, how it just kind of wants to sit down there. Just so it just sticks out just a little bit beyond the bottom. And I'm pressing it down out towards the outside, and not really focusing on pushing on the center yet, because if I have to pull it up, I just as soon it be just kind of stuck on one spot instead of the whole thing. And as you come around these corners, you got to kind of reach in here and lift these pieces up. and then we'll deal with them in a little bit. Oh, look at that. Plenty of leftover. So, let's look at it. Front of it. Looks pretty good. Some glue. That'll come right off. That'll roll right off. In a little bit, once it gets really dry, we can rub that off with our finger. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and push all these pieces down here. All the way. Get that to really stick down. Like where that's doubling under. Pull that out of the way. So it's okay. Now hopefully I can get a really good, get this lined up really nicely. It's pretty hard to cut. Yeah, not too bad. Nice thing about doing it starting in the middle of this side is you won't really see it. So that doesn't look too bad. This is, there is a little bit of difference in the height you can see between this leather and out here. But it's so minimal. We're going to be able to get our sole to adhere real well to it because this is very flexible. So it's nowhere near as much. Now, had we have not filled this in with this gray piece earlier, then I don't think we would have had any real good chance of getting everything to stick as well, which is okay. Instead of using hand sanding this, since this leather I had forgotten when I'd used it is so hard to sand. I used it before on a pair of shoes. It's awesome leather, and it's pebbled grain on it, but it doesn't sand very well. And so I have this on a drill. It just spins around on the drill press. So I went and sanded this a lot harder, faster than I could do it by hand. So now we're going to get some glue on here, or some cement, and cement our soles up and get them stuck together. Even though we're not going to be using this entire sole, we're going to have to trim some off. I don't know exactly where. I'd like to set it down perfect, right in the center, but that may not happen. So I'm going to make sure I get plenty of glue, plenty of cement all the way clear to the edges. Because I don't want it to lift up. It's really nice to have something to put your shoe on as you're doing this kind of stuff. I'm pretty lucky to have this. I made the last stand, or I think they call it last jack. I made it myself, and the last I've modified last to fit me like I like. I got them on eBay, but it sure is nice to have this sitting flat like this so you can see what you're doing. Get your cement on there. So I want to make sure I get it clear to the edge on this as well, because we don't want it lifting up. Pretty much just guess this. Make sure I have the right boot with the right sole. That would be kind of an embarrassing issue. So I'm going to put my finger on the back and try and get this very back lined up, and just kind of look down as I go, making sure that I am on the all the way around. And it's looking good, so set it down. I'm just going to push these on the side here and then roll this up. Now I'm going to stick it on my jack stand. I'm going to hammer on it. Then I'm going to take these pliers and go around and squeeze it all the way around. And get all those surfaces pressed down tight. Then I'll go to the other boot and put that sole on it. And I did an okay job getting it straight. Not perfect. So I'll try and make sure that I match the other one up as crooked as I did this one. And that toe is not holding. May have to put some more cement in there. I don't know what's up with that. Alright, so I have this knife. I don't know, it was like $14 or $15. Maybe it wasn't even that much. But it's got this little curve on the end. And so and they come in right-handed and left-handed. I just happen to be right-handed for some reason. But that keeps you from cutting into here with this top. And I got these gloves on. They're supposed to keep you from cutting yourself So we'll see. So I'm just going to start here and see how hard this is to trim, and trim away. Usually once you get it started, then you can do a kind of a pull. Idea is to kind of keep it straight, up and down, if you can. And these soles are different thicknesses. They got, you know, thick and thin spots. So the knife will pull really easy, and then it'll pull hard for a while. Then you get into a thin spot and it'll really pull easy. So you just got to go slow and take your time. See, there it went really easy. If you're pulling really hard, that might get away from you and you might slip and cut something you don't intend to. This knife is made by USMC. That's the brand, United States Machine Company. You can pick them up probably on the internet. I don't know what they even call them, but if you look up USMC or United States Machine Company shoe repair tools or something like that. Okay, I got the first one. Okay, here's the second one, and it's trimmed. So, and I know that the guys that have the shoe shops and the stuff, then they take these over to those nice big sanders, and they work them a little bit, and then they look fabulous. But I don't have one of those, and I don't have those big brushes, but I do have a brush on a drill in the garage, and I do have a Dremel in the garage. So this one, I have another one in the garage that's got a cord on it. And this one runs on rechargeable batteries. And so basically what you do, or what I do, is I'll turn this on and then I'll just kind of go along and just smooth out any of the rough stuff that I've done. Kind of clean it up so it looks a little more presentable. Of course, I want to try to not get into this welt I did and scuff it up, you know, too deeply, because it's kind of a finished leather. So just and you just it makes kind of a dusty mess. So I'm just going to kind of hit the spots that are real ugly. Especially stuff that I would be able to look down and see when I had them on, like these little bumps and stuff. I had a big one over here. You see all that's getting on my hands. So I'm just going to go out into the garage and do that. And then this is what, when I talk about my sanding disc, it comes on this, or you can get this. This is Black & Decker. You stick it in a drill press or an electric drill. And this is what I used. I took the bottoms of these boots up to the garage, and this is in my drill press, and I sanded it really good, and then I also sanded again on the top of this before we put glue on it, on the sole, to get it really rough. That's the key to getting stuff to stick, is get it some places for that glue to grab a hold of. And then when I talked about cleaning up the glue on the sides and stuff if it sticks with a nylon brush, I think it's nylon. It just goes in the drill, and you can just get it right down in there, and it works those out, all that glue out. So, I need to make new insoles. I could reuse these, but I am going to make new ones. I have some shearling. I think I'll stick in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see in there. What I've done is I've got that shearling lining in there on the bottom, clear to the toe where it should be. Then I lifted the heel part of it up, and so I folded it to the front, and the toe's still where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to put a little bit of cement down in the bottom of there, and then I'm going to reach down there and fold that back and push that down and let that stick. And then maybe I can fold the front back and then put some on it. And it will stay. Because I can't stick it in with glue on it, because it doesn't seem to like that. It sticks to everything else, so this seems to work fairly good. Just painted it on the back, and I'm going to reach in there and just work it back. Hopefully it'll lay right back down where it's supposed to. And it is. Okay. Now, if I can get a hold of the front and get it to fold back, while the heel stays stuck down, or somewhat stuck. I don't need a lot of glue on it, just a little. Okay, so I got it folded back. So now, just going to smear that around in the toe area. Again, kind of work that back up there. Should be able to pull it out if I want to. If I need to replace it and I don't like it. But it should keep it from wandering around in there. And there we have it. Let me get some light. Probably can't see, but it is in there. Okay, I finished up with that London Tan boot cream, and then I just took a brush and brushed it. I think they look really nice. Now, to waterproof them, I've got this, I ordered this in the other day, put it on one pair already. Nano Cream by Tarrago, Tarrago. It's supposed to be, according to what I saw from the distributor, this stuff is supposed to be the best waterproofer you can get. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But I am going to put it on these boots and see what happens. But you just rub it on, wait, it says wait 4 minutes, and then wipe it off. So I think I'll just rub it on there and then take the brush and brush it and see what happens. But the last pair of shoes I put it on was last night, and it was like, it looks really nice and it feels really nice and slick, kind of polishy. Feels like definitely it would waterproof. It's got beeswax in it, and I don't know what all, but it looks like I got carried away here with enough of it on my rag. But I'm gonna go ahead and... This also says that it breathes. It's really good for if you've got Gore-Tex or some sort of a waterproofing fabric there that lets moisture out but not in, or what have you, insulation in your boots. So I've got it on there. I figure it's probably pretty soon time to start wiping it off. Okay, I got this rag because it did say to use a rag. So, and yeah, you can see where I got a little on the suede, and it says do not put it on suede. So keep that in mind. I wasn't very careful.